कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा.
The Bhagavad Gita is a book of mankind's collected experience of and answers to life's most basic questions. Who I am, from where do I come, what is my purpose and destiny, and most practically, how do I find happiness? These podcasts originate in the lectures of Neil Bhatt, a disciple of Swami Chinmayananda. They are presented here in 20 to 30-minute segments, each covering 3 of the Gita's 701 verses. Welcome to Gita Wisdom for Daily Living.
So we had been discussing chapter 1, Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Arjuna's grief. We have started the chapter with Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra, as we have discussed, is our state of mind right now. We live in Dhritarashtra state. We are blind to our reality, the supreme reality, the real reality. We are blind to that I am part of that supreme being. And then live in the world of mamakaha, I and mine. So that's basically how the Bhagavad Gita started saying, this is our problem. All our problem starts with that one misunderstanding that I am this limited being. This mamakaha is my world. I and mine is my world. And then I separate the rest of the world as something other than me. Then the next few verses focuses on Duryodhana. That is the Duryodhana in us. The Duryodhana represents the thief in us. That we want to take away something which belongs to somebody else. And I want to make it mine. And then I want it so badly that I will use any means to get it. In all our day-to-day life, we see inequality in our society. Because obviously there is wealth which is common to all, given by God as natural. When somebody hoarded so much and didn't leave enough for the others. So that the Duryodhana in us, who wants this thing so badly, he knows it's not his, but he wants it. And therefore he is always very anxious. Because he has decided, I need to have it. I know it is not mine, but I need to have it. For my own happiness, to make myself complete. This sense of incompleteness, which started out with our state of Dhritarashtra, where because we are blind to our reality, and then make ourselves limited to this self, and this I and mine, created incompleteness. That incompleteness has created a thief in us. That I want to take away from others and make it mine so that I'll feel complete. That's what Duryodhana felt all his life. That I need all this kingdom for myself. He was already given half the kingdom after the first match of chess. And now he wants all of it. So his mental state is of any thief who is trying to steal something away from somebody else. One is insecure. When you are trying to steal something, you are insecure. Maybe I get caught. Is somebody watching me? So there is insecurity. And then fear. Obviously you are fearful, you are insecure. That's why you want to make sure that I get what I want by any means. So there are 3 things in that mentality. I want this so badly that I'll be willing to do anything. I'm insecure and I'm fearful. So the next few verses which we are seeing is just describing his sthiti. First 6 verses we have seen say, look at Pandava's army. It looks pretty well protected. Great warriors on their side. Basically is going to Drona and saying, these are all your Sisyas. Arjun, son of Drupad with Drushtadhumna, who is now commanding the army. So I'm not sure that we are totally protected having somebody like Drona with us. Because his Sisyas on the other side. That's a fear in him. Insecurity. So he describe all that he feels is the weak points from looking at the other side. And now he realized that he may have, gone overboard. When somebody is in that state, he wants to cover both bases. One side he feels insecure, other side he feels very powerful. That I can do it. I have all the shrewdness and smartness and strength to do it. So first looked at his insecurity and his weaknesses, that the other side is powerful. Now he's looking at, no, I can do it. We can do it because, so the verse 7 onwards, he now looks at his strength. Asmakam tu visishtaye tani bodha dvijottama. Obviously he's addressing to Drona, and he said Dvijottama, and we have discussed before, Dvijottama, Dvija, Brahmin. Brahmin is considered twice born. One is a physical birth, and second is a birth in this knowledge of who you are. That starts at the time of Upanayan. Guru gives a mantra in his ear. Then he runs to the Gurukul to get that education. So he becomes established in this knowledge. That's why it's called Dvij. Because the first is just for a limited being. It's a physical birth. Second birth is where he takes birth as a wise person. So therefore they are called Dvijaha. Drona being a Brahmin is Dvijaha, but it's a Dvijottama. You are best among the Brahmins. Now this could have been the best compliment in a normal situation. But in this situation it is not. Because we know, or at least the society knew at the time, Brahmins are soft-hearted. They are not fighting type. They are not warmongers. They are not the ones who can be in the situation. They want to avoid this type of conflicts. We have seen that that's how Karna was caught by Parsuram. Karna obviously went to Parsuram because he realized that other than Drona, Parsuram can teach him what the other Pandavas are having, the knowledge. Parsuram has taken a vow that he will not teach any Kshatriya because he wanted to eliminate Kshatriyas from this planet. So he has taken a vow that he will not teach this art of warfare to any Kshatriya. So Karna goes there as a Dvija, as a Brahmin. He disguised himself as a Brahmin, or lies that I'm a Brahmin. And then obviously he was a good student, teacher was happy. One day teacher was sleeping and his head was in Karna's lap. And then this Brahmar, what do you call it? Bumblebee. Bumblebee? Okay, bumblebee. That comes and sits on Karna's thigh. He realizes that if I move, my guru will wake up. And he does not want to make his guru uncomfortable at all. He's in a deep sleep. This bumblebee coursed through his flesh and the blood is oozing out of that wound. He tolerates all that pain but does not move a muscle so that his guru gets disturbed in his sleep. The blood comes, running down his thigh under the guru's head and he wakes up because of the warm blood he feels. He wakes up and sees what's happening. And then he realized what had happened. And Karna says, I'm fine. And he was angry because Guru said, you lied to me. You're not a Brahmin. A Brahmin would not have been capable to tolerate this kind of pain. You are a Kshatriya who lied to me. And then obviously as the story goes, he asked for forgiveness and all of that. But then Parsuram said, you will have this knowledge, but it will not come handy to you when you really need it. In the battlefield, you will lose this knowledge. So that's the story. The relevance here is, Dvija is not a positive compliment when you are in a war. So he reminds him that, look, I know you're a great teacher and a great archer and a great warrior, but at the end you are a Dvija. So don't be soft-hearted here. It's actually his fear that maybe this guy will go soft-hearted and will not fight this battle. So, Asmakam tu visishtaye tani bodha dvijottama nayaka mama sainyasya sangnarthanam tan bravimite. And therefore, I'm going to now describe to you who are the great warriors on our side. So, pay attention. Don't go soft-hearted on me. We have also great people on our side. You don't need to worry about it. You just do your job. Bhavan, Bhismascha, Karanascha. Starting with you, Bhavan, you. Okay, who are on our side? So that we feel that we are protected. Bhavan, you, Bhisma, Karna, Krupascha, Samitinjaya, and Krupacharya, who are victorious. All these people have good track record, of resume of winning battle. Aswathama, Vikarnascha, Saumadatta, Tatha Evacha. And then all others like Aswathama, Vikarna. Last time we have seen Krupacharya is Dronacharya's brother-in-law and Aswathama is Dronacharya's son. So Swamiji says here, well, we can't have in one family all this, bravery and valor. So he's obviously making it up a little more than what he should be to Drona. But whatever it is, these are all great warriors. And Aswathama was more like Duryodhana. He was Duryodhana's best friend. And he was basically looking for that if he stays with Duryodhana and Duryodhana wins the war, then he will have a kingdom of his own. Drona and Drupada were friends. And they probably learned together at some guru. Drona goes to Drupad and asking for some favor to make him a Raja somewhere. And Drupad insults him. That's where their animosity started. So there's a long story all weaved into it, but in the end, basically, Duryodhana says, these are all people, the great people on our side. And not only the main characters, but Anyecha Bahavaha Suraha Madarthe Tyakt Jivitaha. And there are many others on our side who are ready to give up their life for me. Many, many brave people who are on our side. In other words, they are committed to fight this war. Yudvijottama, I'm not sure about you, but I'm sure about everybody else. They are committed to fight. So let's do the right thing here. Nana sastra praharanaha sarve yuddha visharadaha. Not only they are ready to fight for me, but they are equipped with various types of weapons. So we are well equipped. We have human capital. We have technology. So let's not worry about it. Yuddha visaradaha, they are expert in warfare. Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam bhisma virakshitam. Paryaptam tvidam etesam balam bhima virakshitam. This verse obviously confuses everybody. Because why is he saying that? That aparyaptam, insufficient. Now, every translation I have seen does say insufficient. Even though it seems that unlimited is more appropriate here. And I had asked Swamiji one time, I said, Swamiji, all this translation, where does that come from? And Swamiji says, we don't get involved in this because you need a Sanskrit Pandit to translate this. And he said there are Sanskrit Pandits in Kashi who translated Bhagavad Gita after all these discussions and looking at it. And that's the translation we use. So even the Chinmaya Mission translation does not really come from Chinmaya Mission Swamis. It actually came from Pandits who have decided this is the translation of some. So we have to take it as it is and say, aparyaptam. In our vernacular languages, aparyapta is insufficient. He's saying insufficient. Now remember, his mentality is that of a thief. He always feels that he's incomplete. He always, no matter how much that person has, he will always feel there's something more I should have. And therefore his vision about what we have is not ever, we are sufficient, we have plenty. Then even we're fighting this battle. So even army, he sees that as insufficient. Well, all these people who went on Pandava's side, they should have been on my side. Then it would have been much better. And my army is protected by Bhishma. Because he knew that Bhishma has taken a vow that as long as he lives, he will guard the throne of Hastinapur. Whoever is in the Hastinapur, he will be protecting him. He also knows that Bhishma has Ichha Mrityu. He will only die if he wants to die. As long as Bhishma is alive, he is protected. So, in one hand, he knows that as long as Bhishma on his side, he obviously does not have to worry too much about it. But at the same token, he thinks, if I had more, then I would have felt a little better about it. So he said, Aparyaptam tadasmakam balam Bhishma bhirakshitam. Our strength, protected by Bhishma, still feels little insufficient. Whereas on the other side, Paryaptam tvidam etesham balam bhima bhirakshitam. Now they are protected by Bhima. And then last time, Sid or somebody pointed out that this is not correct. Bhima was not the commander. But the commander was changing every day. In this army, if you read Mahabharata, and I have never read Mahabharata, so I'm not an authority. Because as I told you last time, in our family, or at least in Gujarat, everywhere, they say, don't read Mahabharata in your house. Otherwise, there will be Mahabharata in your house. So we can read Ramayana, but not Mahabharata. So Mahabharata you only know by watching B.R. Chopra's Mahabharata, or the Kathakar who comes to our streets. At least when I was young, we have a temple right across our house, Sai Baba's temple, and there was a Kathakar. And I remember I was probably in my high school days, and that's where I heard the whole Mahabharata. Mahabharata is so fascinating that the audience in that Katha was mostly by all the children from all our street and all the streets around. They were the first one to come and sit down in front of us. So that's how we obviously learned Mahabharata. Not went verse by verse and said that's what it says. But it says Bhima is direct competition to Duryodhana. You remember who fought in the end? Duryodhana and Bhima. Duryodhana was expert in mace fight. Bhima, mace fight. His direct competition was Bhima. Therefore, he tried to kill him even when they were teenagers. He knew that he is the might among Pandavas. Arjuna may be the greatest archer, but the real might is Bhima. Yudhishthir, more wisdom. But if somebody the brute strength can protect them, is Bhima. Therefore, this army is protected by Bhima. It seemed like that we have everything on our side and is protected by Bhishma. But still, I'm not sure that we have enough army to win this war. Where it seemed like that Bhima, who is protecting their side, with all these people which I described, seems sufficient. At least they seem to be content with what they have and feel confident. I don't see any fear in their eyes that they will be losing. So he feels that they are sufficient, but we are insufficient. In other words, let's make more efforts. When we go for a presentation, we say, well, let's look at our competition. Oh, there's a big firm. Oh, yeah, no. Well, let's put our best foot forward. Insecurity in us tells us, well, let's do, because we want this so badly. We don't think this belongs to us, but I want this badly, so badly. I'm going to put all my resources and see whether I can find resources from somewhere else to get me. Well, join hands with the larger firm, so we can get this job. Same mentality. So he's insecure because of his own mental state. That this is something he knows in his heart does not belong to me, but I can live without it. Without it, my life is incomplete. I need to have this. Ayaneshu cha sarveshu yatha bhagam avasthitaha bhishmam eva bhiraksantu bhavantaha sarve evahi. All of you who are stationed in these different battalions, keep in mind that our only goal is to protect Bhishma. As long as Bhishma is protected, we cannot lose this battle. When Bhishma is gone, we don't know what's going to happen after that. So therefore, all of you whom I have just described, you, Krupacharya, Aswathama, Vikarna, you're all great warriors. Each one is controlling each battalion. The Maharati is, last time we say, 11,000 archers. But your goal should be protect Bhishma. As long as Bhishma is there, we are okay. So eventually he realizes that he is hanging on to Bhishma's commitment. Not that Bhishma has ever said, Duryodhana, you are my dearest son and I'll do everything for you. He knew that Bhishma's sympathies lie with Yudhishthira. In no uncertain term, it has been declared many times. But Bhishma is bound by his vows, and that he also knows that he will not deviate from that, and therefore protect Bhishma. And by this time, obviously, Bhishma realized that time has come to put some strength and a joy in Duryodhana's heart that I am committed to this war, and I will protect Tasya Sanjana and Harsham. Therefore, Tasya Duryodhans, for the Duryodhan's sake, to make him feel more motivated, Kuru Vruddhaha Pitamahaha, and Swamiji makes obviously comment here that he is called Kuru Vruddhaha. He is the oldest among Kuru. But then the little footnote said, there was also Santanu's brother fighting on Kaurava's side. You know who Santanu was? Duryodhana's father, Dhritarashtra, Dhritarashtra's father, Vichitravirya, Vichitravirya's father, Santanu. And his brother is fighting. I'm not exactly sure how old the guy was. You know? Well, he's like, how many generations? He's still fighting the war. But he was also there. But he is not addressed as a Kuru Vruddha. Kuru Vruddha is still Bhishma. Bhishma is the foundation of this dynasty now. So, Bhishma Pitamaha, he is the grandfather of all of this. Simhanandam, he roared. It's like two wrestlers are fighting, they're making noise to get into their psyche and also make everybody else into that mood. So Simhanandam, when he roared, Bhishma roared, made sure that Duryodhana knows that I am going to take care of this thing. It's my commitment. Simhanadam vinadyauchaihi sankham dadmau pratapavan. And he blew that mighty conch of his. Now the war is declared. So Bhishma was the one who declared the war and made the Kauravas aggressor for history. Let's assume that Arjuna had broken down before the conch was blown. Then he decided to walk away from this battle. Well, that way he just walked away. There was no war. They came together, they wanted to fight, but they decided it's not right or I'm not capable. He just ran away. War was never declared. But war is now declared. Bhishma declared the war. Now, from the tradition in that time, once your enemy challenges you for a fight, if a lord or a knight challenges you a sword fight, you don't say no. In the Wild West, somebody challenges you to a gunfight, you can't say no unless you want to run away as a coward. So now Pandavas really did not have any choice but to respond to this declaration of war. So for the history's sake, Pandavas were never the aggressor. And as we have been discussing, actually Dan had mentioned that there are some Western scholars who consider the Bhagavad Gita as a warmongering book. And therefore he said it should not be propagated. Pandavas with Krishna were never the warmongers. They did everything that is required, every diplomatic means that were available to them. They tried all of them. All the compromises available to them, they offered. And in the end, they didn't even declare the war. The war was started now by the Kauravas. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhave Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om